Hello again, and welcome to Module 6. Just like Module 5, there's a lot going on here. So let me walk you through. First of all, got our third discussion. Sure to participate there. Let's look at the lectures. We're talking about the efficiency of markets. And, well, let's just start at the top. Some video lectures, Pareto optimality, and related to efficiency, economic systems, not a big part of the class or much at all, but I've tried to work some in here. One of the critical components of a market economy is private property rights. Crucial. The Pilgrims at first did not have private property rights, and they nearly starved. Okay, they later instituted some free enterprise and private property, and their production got to the point where they actually had enough corn left over to export. So those incentives, one of the first basic principles you learned about back in chapter 1 is people respond to incentives and they respond to disincentives. Okay, and that's been a crucial difference between capitalism and communism or socialism. Uh, you know what? When people don't have an incentive to work hard, be innovative, they don't tend to do so. And that's why the Soviet Union collapsed, and that's why Cuba's so poor. In fact, one of the common denominator between socialist countries is they're very, very poor, and that's because they rely on, well, there's going to have to be some loss of freedom and some force, but when the extreme cases like the Soviet Union, uh, force, fear and force was what it was about. If you didn't perform, you ended up in Siberia. But there has to be some kind of force because the incentives aren't there because you don't get to keep the fruits of your production. So that's the problem. Again, you have to look at not the intent, but the outcome. Remember, we've talked about that. There's a difference between intent and outcome, unfortunately, and um, the outcome is very different than the intent. The intent is noble, as Paul Salmon talks about in here. What's not to like? Um, it all sounds good, but then in some cases, like Poland after World War II, almost starved until they implemented some private property rights and got some markets going. Anyway, since there seems to be an interest in this stuff right now, and there always is. If you go back to my why the best system will never be found because there isn't one. And I can't remember what module that is, but I think it was back in supply and demand. There isn't a best economic system. The real question is which system is the least bad? Okay, they all have costs and benefits, but the biggest problem with socialism is that it's been a proven producer of poverty. Everybody's poor, and in some case, really dangerously poor. Anyway, and that's why you've seen so many countries abandon it and move to markets over the last couple of decades. Well, let's go see what else is in store. Pareto efficiency, a little introduction. There's a video on that as well. Babysitters. Oh my goodness. Have I been taken to the cleaners by babysitters? I just try to get a price out of them. They won't give me one. They're trying to get my consumer surplus, and I want some consumer surplus. I really do, but they're too crafty for me most of the time. Why the Affordable Care? We talked about the Affordable Care Act under tax incidents in the last module. This one, uh, well, that was about the selling of the Affordable Care Act, the tax incidents involved, and why Professor Gruber got in trouble by teaching the economics behind it, taxing the insurance companies versus taxing the insurance policies, of course. the incidence is the same. And but most people don't know that. So when you went from taxing the policies to saying no, we're going to tax insurance companies instead, they were able to sell it. Pulled one over on us. This goes into why the Affordable Care Act just isn't economically sustainable. The inefficiencies, the incentives, again, and I don't think it was intended to be. It could not have been intended to be, based on what you'll read in there. Why minimum wage could cost jobs? That's again, that's more examples. This one's a really simple example, quite interesting. It goes through some actual numbers, and that again, that's when the minimum wage, critical detail here. That's when the minimum wage is above equilibrium. Okay, if it's not above equilibrium, it doesn't matter. Okay, and okay, the homework by tab, extra credit here, and extra help. Here in extra help, I go through a consumer surplus, producer surplus. I calculate it, a problem. You see the, well, if this could be any slower. Anyway, we'll see. yeah, there we are. Go through all these and calculate. You see these little triangles. You're running those in the chapters. I go through that stuff. That might be helpful. Okay, well that will do it. Good luck, and we'll see you in the next module.